So Sid, what's happening in the Super League?
It's the final countdown.
What grade are you not on the recorder again?
Thanks, Raf.
Okay. Yes, so it's finals day of the third edition of the Kia Super League tomorrow at Hove. And it's been a couple of weeks now actually since we did our last roundup video. So what's happened in the competition since the last time we did one of these?
Well, last time we were here, the Lightning and the Storm had already qualified, but we didn't know yet who was going to go directly through to the final. So that was still to be decided. And we didn't know yet who was going to take that third place on finals day. And all those things obviously now being decided. So we know who it's going to be.
Yeah. So we've got Lightning, Storm and Surrey Stars are the third team.
Yeah.
Qualified for finals day. Out of those three teams, who do we think is going to be happiest with the way they performed in the last week of the competition?
Well, definitely the Stars. The Stars going into the last week, they knew that if they won both their games, they would qualify for finals day in third spot. And they did just that. They won both their games. They beat the Vipers. Nat Silver had a really good game, took 4 for 34 and scored 46. And then at the Oval last Saturday, the Stars beat the Storm. Lizelle Lee, top score with 48. Quite a close game, went down to the last couple of balls, didn't it, Raf?
It
was a good game to watch. We really enjoyed that one, didn't we?
We were
sitting
in the
crowd.
We were nervously biting our fingernails. We seemed to be sitting with a lot of Surrey Stars supporters, including Sophia Dunkley's mum. So that was fun. So Sophia hitting the last boundary to win it for her side was just an amazing moment and really special for her. And I think, as I wrote at the time, I think that she's had a really brilliant tournament. But obviously, from the perspective of Western Storm, they will be left thinking they should really have won that game. And they'd also lost their previous game against Lightning, so they kind of had two chances there to automatically qualify for the final, and they stuffed it up a little bit. So I think they're going to be left a bit disappointed, really. There was one particular moment during that Oval game that I wanted to mention. Obviously, Heather Knight top scored in that game, but she also dropped a quite crucial catch, I think. It was Danae van Neerkerk, wasn't it? She was on 14 at the time, and I think she was out in the deep, and she dropped the catch, and Van Neerkerk went on and hit about 10 or 11 more runs, and as it turned out, that was very crucial.
Really made the difference, yeah.
Yeah. So, did Heather Knight drop the Super League trophy that night, Sid?
Well, I guess it probably depends on depends on what's going to happen on finals day.
Sure.
But it was certainly a key moment. That match really gone up and down. I posted a little graphic on Twitter of showing how the run rates went up and down in that match. And the Stars were just on a bit of a trough, and then Danae van Neerkerk, lifted them out in the next couple of overs or whatever. And if she hadn't been there to do that, it could have gone the other way. At that point, because the Lightning also lost their last game, Stars would have qualified. Sorry, the Storm would have qualified directly for the final. But they blew that. They've now got to play the Stars again on finals day in the semi-final, and you've got to feel that's where the momentum is, Raf.
Absolutely. And one of the key performers in that match, although she did get out right at the end, was Nat Silver again, who's had a pretty good tournament. And you've got a bit of a statistic about strike rates there, haven't you? For people, so this is players who have scored more than 50 runs in the tournament, and Nat is the 5th highest strike rate. Yeah,
so she's got a strike rate of 140, and I think that she's actually, kind of matured her game quite a lot over the last year, and she seems to be playing a much less risky brand of cricket, in fact. And if you think about the kind of players that she's up with, the next two players on the list, number 4, Lizelle Lee, has got a strike rate of 141, Sophie Devine 147. Both Lizelle Lee and Sophie Devine are very much hit big or get out players, whereas Nat Silver's been a much more consistent player. She's playing a lot less risky shots generally, although don't get me started on the nutmeg. But generally, she's taking a lot less risks with her cricket, yet she's still maintaining a very high strike rate. and chipping in with the ball. And I think that's going to become increasingly important. That kind of consistency is going to become increasingly important to England as well. Of course, one other player that's done exactly the same thing is Smriti Mandhana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she's got by far the highest strike rate in the Super League, 175. She's scored far more runs than anybody else, 421. But again, she seems to have actually been quite low risk cricket, really. She doesn't appear to be playing a lot of massively risky shots in the way that we tend to. Like traditionally, those people that are scoring at really high strike rates, like Lizelle Ree and Rachel Priest, are taking a lot of risks as well. And they'll either get out for 6 off 2 balls, or they'll get out for 60 off 30 balls.
Yeah, so that's going to be really important going into the Women's World T20.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Smriti for India and Nat Siver for England. I mean, if we look back to our predictions, obviously there's no certainty in predictions like that, and you sometimes do end up feeling a bit of a wally when you look back. But we got 2 out of 3 of the finalists, didn't we? We predicted correctly. So we did say that we thought that Storm and Stars would get to finals day, but we kind of dropped the ball somewhat on Lightning. We didn't really see that coming. So do you think that Lightning, being the ones that have automatically qualified for the final, is that a fair reflection of the season?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think that they've played well. And they've been very much a bowling side actually. Although Rachel Haynes has kind of quietly crept up the list. Rachel Haynes is 3rd on the list of run scorers at 307, so she's quietly got up there. And she's been really important. But they've been very much been about the bowling. Sophie Devine's taken pile of wickets. She's taken 16 wickets, so she's really contributed with the ball there. Jenny Gunn's taken 13 wickets. She's 4th on the list of the most wicket takers. But up there at the top of the list, Kirsty Gordon with 16 wickets in her first season in the Super League. What can you say? I mean, she's come into it after an excellent county championship season. So not a surprise necessarily to those of us that were following the county game.
Yeah.
But there is a step up here, and a lot of people take that step up. And they struggle. She's taken that step up and she's kind of owned it, and she's taken more wickets than the likes of Sophie Eccleston and Alex Hartley, that are the people in front of her for a potential England place. So,
Lightning's best buy of the season?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And if she can maintain this, then she really has got potentially an international future ahead of her. So she's definitely really excited about her potential.
In terms of teams that have missed out, Vipers and Diamonds have finished at the bottom end of the table, and that probably is a reasonable reflection of the way they've performed. But Lancashire Thunder...
Yeah, Lancashire Thunder are a bit unlucky. So Lancashire Thunder won 5 games. The Surrey Stars only won 5 games as well. Really, the difference between them is that the Lancashire Thunder lost 5 games, whereas the Stars only lost 4 games and they had a no result.
Right. Okay,
so obviously that no result could have gone either way, but Lancashire Thunder were perhaps a bit unlucky this year.
Yeah, I think they can look back on their season very positively, though. I think people weren't, let's hold our hands up. We weren't predicting that they were going to have a great time again, but they have, and they've improved and onwards and upwards, I guess. And somebody's got to miss out. We sort of supported that 3-team finals day, didn't we?
Yeah, the 3 teams final day really makes sense. It doesn't make sense that in only a 6-team league, 4 teams qualify for finals day. It also it kind of gets rid of one of the issues of finals days in general, that the best team doesn't necessarily win by giving the team that wins the league a pass straight to the finals. There is a reward for winning the league. Yeah. So I think it still remains the right system, and just Thunder were unlucky this year. Maybe next year will be their year in the final year.
Okay. Which takes us a little bit onto our next question about, is playing in the semi-final an advantage or a disadvantage? I mean, last season I do remember that Western Storm, who have played in both semi-finals now and won both, and last year they went on to then win the final, but in the first season they lost the final to Vipers. So there's been a bit of a, it's not necessarily that the automatic finalists get crowned the automatic winners, but Storm seem to have tried to portray the fact that they're the semi-finalists in previous seasons as being really positive, and yay, hooray, we get a chance to see how the match is how the pitch is playing, and it's really brilliant, and kind of, I suppose it's maybe an attempt to regain some of the psychological ground from not topping the table.
Yeah, I mean, if
I'm not really convinced by that.
If you asked them before the match, do you
Yeah.
want to qualify directly to the final? I'm sure that they were going to say yes.
Absolutely.
I think that's what the players will really want.
Yeah, and they will have been gutted to have not taken that chance where they could, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2020 cricket, anything can happen on finals day. If you're only in the semi-final, you have to do it twice. Whereas if you're directly through to the final, you only have to do it once.
Absolutely, and obviously the key point here is that Storm are going to have to do it without their best player, Smriti Mandana. So, they've made it in a way not doubly difficult for themselves, but kind of quadruply difficult for themselves to have to now win both the semi-final and the final without their best player.
Yeah, not just their best player, but best player of the tournament, Raf, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't know who's going to be player of the tournament in theory, because it is decided on finals day, because people can have spectacular performances right up until that last match in the final, but it's pretty obvious who it's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Heather Knight could still overtake Smriti Mandana. She's only 90 odd runs behind in terms of those run tables, but if she does so, she'll have done it playing 2 more matches. I don't think there's any doubt that Smriti is going to be named player of the tournament.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we can't look past Lauren Bell.
Well, we obviously we can't, and if it was up to me, Raf.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, it's still up for grabs, Sid.
but it is disappointing, Smitty not being there on finals day, isn't it? And some of the fans are going to be disappointed. It's disappointing for the television people. There was that really interesting thing that when the Western Storm put their match on YouTube, there were thousands and thousands of people watching it from India while Smriti was batting. Smriti got out, they turned off.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's got to be a disappointment for everybody.
Yeah, and I think as you wrote on Cricket Her, it opens up these questions about whether really the T20 leagues, like the KSL and the WBBL, need to have their own kind of discrete window in the calendar, so that we avoid these situations where players are making key contributions and then aren't able to see it through to the end.
Yeah, and I had a little bit of comeback on that, saying international cricket has to take priority. But the thing is, she hasn't gone back to play international cricket. She's gone back to a training camp.
No,
and
exactly. And
you can't help but wonder if this is really what's really underlying this is the BCCI saying, look, you can have our players, but at the end of the day, we still own them. We're still in charge here. We're laying down, who's got the upper hand here.
Well, it was interesting. I interviewed Amy Jones just a couple of days ago about finals day, and she said actually for her it feels like a really important opportunity to show what you can do as a player, because there's nothing like playing in a pressure situation like a final, or in Spriti's case it would have been a semi-final and then potentially a final, because you can't replicate that in practice, and you don't get those kind of must-win matches. They don't come around very often, and
so
actually to
possibly
take her out of that,
India have shot themselves in the foot here.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're only a few months away from the World Cup, aren't we? And so I'm not really convinced that they can argue that they've necessarily done the right thing for their player, and it is very disappointing for the fans. But I suppose we would rather have had her in the tournament than not have had her in the tournament.
Oh, absolutely. She's definitely lit things up. She's been brilliant, and she's got the tournament. So much more publicity, and it's been great.
Absolutely.
So, Raf, finally, then, who do we think is going to win the Super League?
Okay. Well, I mean, the semi-final, we've said that we think that Stars are going to beat Storm, so we're going to end up with a Stars v Lightning final. I think I'd probably go with Lightning to win that. I think they've had a more consistent season.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. If I was betting with your money, I'd put it on Lightning. If I was betting with my money, I think I'd keep it in my pocket, because it is going to be a close match. The whole season has been close, and I think we're up for a cracking game of cricket tomorrow. The weather's set to hold fine.
Mm-hmm.
Really looking forward to being there in Hove.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're there, we'll see you there.
See you there.